My name's Morgan, and up until about a week ago, the only thing I truly believed in was interest rates. Not ghosts, not demons, not anything supernatural. Just the cold, hard reality of how quickly debt piles up when you're 23, living off instant noodles and 2 months behind on your credit card payments. College didn't work out. Too expensive, too many people pretending to be okay while quietly falling apart. I couldn't fake it anymore. So I dropped out and took the first job that didn't ask questions. That's how I ended up working the night shift at Taco Bell. Minimum wage, minimum expectations. No group projects, no tuition. Just me, a mop, and the comforting smell of industrial-grade disinfectant mixed with bargain ground beef. It was quiet when I walked in that first night. Not dead quiet, just the kind of silence that hangs over places that should be closed, but aren't. A single fluorescent bulb in the lobby buzzed like it was trying to give up. The floor looked recently mopped, but still sticky. Behind the counter was Raul, the night manager. Middle-aged, maybe early 50s, with deep under-eye bags and a 5 o'clock shadow that hadn't seen a razor in days. He sat hunched at the prep counter, chain-smoking a vape and tapping a cold cup of black coffee like it owed him rent. He didn't say hi. He didn't even look up. Just slid a crumpled piece of paper across the counter toward me. "Don't lose it," he muttered. I looked down at the paper. It was grease-stained and soft like it had been handled too many times. 7 lines, all typed in weird all-caps font that made my head hurt a little to read. No title, no explanations. 1. If the man in the soaked poncho asks for anything with volcano in the name, tell him that menu is retired. 2. Never open the grease trap room after midnight. If you hear chains dragging or the sound of running water, turn the lobby music up to max and stay out of the kitchen until it stops. 3. If the drive-thru speaker crackles and a child's voice says, "I want to make a trade," give them a single cinnamon twist and close the window before they start counting. 4. Drop 3 Diablo sauce packets in the mop sink and say, "The offering is yours." Do this only if the lights flicker from left to right. 5. If a woman with a broken high heel asks for 2 Nacho Bel Grandes, place one on the counter and the other under the soda machine. Do not speak while she eats. If she stops chewing, do not move. 6. Do not stare into the fryers when they're empty. If something looks back, leave. Don't tell Raul. Don't think about it too long. 7. If a man in a straw hat orders the Chalice Combo, give him a medium Pepsi in the red cup from the top shelf. No lid, no straw. Watch his throat. If it stops moving, cut the lights until he's gone. I gave a little laugh under my breath. Seriously? Raul didn't answer, just tapped his coffee once, then again. "Okay," I said, folding the paper and shoving it into my back pocket. "Weird but fine." "First night," someone else said behind me. I turned and saw a guy around my age leaning on the counter. Tyler. Skinny, caffeine-stained aura, backwards Taco Bell hat. His eyes had the same look I'd seen on stray cats and people in line at the DMV. Tired, but still running on fumes. "Yeah," I said. He handed me a pair of gloves. "You sweep. I'll pretend to restock." That was our dynamic for the next hour or so. No customers, no real tasks, just me pretending to clean things that didn't need cleaning, while Tyler drifted back and forth like a ghost in black non-slip shoes. Around 11:45 p.m., the front doorbell jingled. I didn't even hear it open, just the sound of it chiming like it had been waiting for us to notice. A man stepped inside. He wore a soaking wet poncho, dark green and slick with rain that hadn't been forecast. Water dripped from the edges and puddled around his boots. Every step squelched like he was dragging a swamp with him. He smelled awful, like wet charcoal and pocket change. That's the best I can describe it. That burnt, metallic tang hit me in the back of the throat. He approached the counter slowly and stopped right in front of me. Then he said, in a voice that sounded like gravel sliding over metal, "Anything with volcano in the name." My body went cold, because I remembered that rule. It was the very first one. I looked over at Tyler, hoping for some kind of signal that this was a prank. He didn't move. His fingers were white where they gripped the countertop. His eyes were wide, locked on the man in the poncho like he was staring into the sun. I swallowed. "The menu's retired," I said. The man blinked slowly. Then he said it again, identical, like he was reading from a broken record. "Anything with volcano in the name." This time his voice was lower, more distorted. My hand was shaking, but I kept my eyes on him. It's retired," I said, a little louder. He didn't blink, he didn't move. But he started to open his mouth again, only it didn't stop at the normal limit. His jaw kept stretching open until the corners of his lips cracked and something inside twitched. I don't know how else to say it, but something was breathing behind his teeth. "The bell," Tyler barked. I fumbled behind the register, found the small silver bell we used to signal brake rotations, and hit it once, hard. The man blinked again, then slowly, carefully, he closed his mouth. The sound of his boots squelching on the floor echoed as he turned around and walked out the door, still dripping, leaving black streaks of water behind him like the smell of scorched pennies. The door swung closed on its own. The bell chimed once more. Tyler let out a long, shuddering breath. "Jesus. You rang it just in time. What would have happened if I hadn't?" He didn't answer, just went back to restocking the napkins, like we hadn't just almost died. I didn't sleep when I got home. I didn't eat. I just sat at my tiny kitchen table with a cup of tea I never touched and read the list of rules again and again. There were 6 more, and now I knew for sure they weren't a joke. I showed up 10 minutes early the next night. Not because I'm responsible, I was scared. I spent the whole day flipping that rules sheet over in my hand like it might suddenly explain itself. Like maybe if I held it at the right angle, it would glow and say, "Just kidding, none of this is real." It didn't. The paper was still just a crumpled mess with 7 nightmare clauses written in corporate courier font, and the smell from that poncho guy still clung to my uniform like old rain and pennies. I washed it twice. Didn't help. So yeah, I got there early. Figured if I had time to breathe and maybe poke around before the lights flickered or something blinked at me again, I'd feel better. I didn't. Raul wasn't there that night. Tyler was, though, leaning against the prep station with an open energy drink and his usual half-dead expression. "You came back," he said. "Not sure if that means I'm brave or stupid." He shrugged. "We're underpaid." "Same thing." I clocked in and headed to the supply closet to grab gloves, but paused at the hallway door. I don't know why. I just had this tight feeling behind my eyes like something was waiting. When I turned back, Tyler was watching me. "You read Rule 2? He asked. I nodded. "Yeah." "Good, just making sure." He didn't smile. The night dragged. At first, it was normal, if you can call mopping floors under buzzing fluorescent lights normal after what happened the night before. No customers, no weird sounds, no soaked ponchos or haunted menu items. Just the usual faint smell of overcooked beef and fryer oil that never really washes off your skin. By 11:50, I was wiping down the tables in the lobby while Tyler cleaned up back by the sink. We hadn't said much since the shift started. I was too busy watching shadows out of the corner of my eye. That's when the air changed. It got damp, not cold. Just heavy, like the humidity had crept inside without permission. The kind of wet air that sticks to your clothes and makes your shoes feel heavier than they are. Then I heard it. Faint at first. Clink, drag, clink, drag. Chains. Metal dragging across tile, slow and deliberate, coming from the back hallway that led to the grease trap room. I froze mid-wipe. Tyler was already moving. He dropped his towel, ran to the stereo by the soda machine, and cranked the volume knob hard to the right. Mariachi music exploded from the lobby speakers. Loud. Bouncy. Trumpets like carnival alarms blaring over the tiled floor. It was ridiculous, but it was also in the rule. Rule 2. Never open the grease trap room after midnight. If you hear chains dragging or the sound of running water, turn the lobby music up to max and stay out of the kitchen until it stops. The sound of the chains grew louder. Clink, drag, clink, until it was right on the other side of the door behind the fryer station. Then came the water. It wasn't a trickle or a drip. It was rushing. Violent, like a flooded bathtub was spinning in circles just beyond the door. I backed up until I bumped into a table and just stood there. My legs didn't want to work right. My mouth was dry. Then came the knocking. 1. A pause. 2. Longer pause. Nothing. Just mariachi music blaring out of half-broken lobby speakers while the restaurant held its breath. Then slowly the water sound faded. The chains stopped. And whatever was behind the grease trap door gave one last creak of movement, then silence. I let out a shaky breath and slumped against the table. Tyler walked back over like this was just another day at the office. "You okay?" he asked. "Do I look okay?" He glanced at me. "No, But you're still standing, that's something. I rubbed my face and tried not to cry. Why are we doing this? I asked. He looked at me, serious now. The rules keep us alive, or they keep something else fed. One of those. I didn't have a response to that. I just nodded and grabbed the mop again, because pretending to work was better than standing still. We didn't talk much the rest of the night, but every time I passed the grease trap hallway, I swore I heard dripping, quiet, rhythmic, and something low and wet breathing behind the door. By Wednesday, I'd stopped pretending this was some elaborate prank. No one was filming us. This wasn't some viral marketing stunt or secret HR test to see how we handled stress. There was no punchline waiting at the end of these shifts. Just rules and consequences. I still read the list at least once before I left the apartment. Not because I needed reminding, by now every line was etched into my memory, but because it felt like the only defense I had. Like maybe if I kept it close, the night wouldn't get inside me. That night, the parking lot was empty when I pulled in. Not a single car, no headlights passing on the nearby road. The building sat in the dark like it had been buried in shadow all day. Tyler was already inside, standing at the prep line and chewing on a plastic straw like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. "Still here," he said. "Still in debt," I replied. He tossed me a pair of gloves. "Let's feed the beast." Nothing happened for the first couple of hours. I stocked sauce packets. Tyler pretended to clean the soda machine, which really meant sipping from his third energy drink and staring at the menu screens like they owed him an apology. It was almost 2:30 a.m. when it happened. The drive-thru headset on the counter crackled once. Then again. I froze. Tyler did too. Then came the voice. A child's voice. "I want to make a trade," it whispered. Not loud, not playful, just soft and steady, like it knew I was listening. I reached for the headset with shaking hands and glanced at Tyler. His face was pale, lips pressed in a thin line. "Rule 3, he said under his breath. "You remember it?" I nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. Rule 3. If the drive-thru speaker crackles and a child's voice says, "I want to make a trade," give them a single cinnamon twist and close the window before they start counting. I grabbed a bag, tossed in one cinnamon twist, and walked slowly to the drive-thru window. My hands were trembling so badly the twist rattled against the paper. Outside, the lot was still empty. No headlights, no car, no engine hum, just a breeze rolling across the pavement and the dim glow from the overhanging lights. I opened the window, reached out and placed the bag carefully on the metal ledge. Then I shut the window. A second later, the voice returned, closer this time, like it was right outside. "1," it said. I hit the window button again and locked it before it could finish the next number. The headset buzzed once more, then went dead. Tyler let out a long breath from the back. Nice timing. I didn't say anything. My legs felt like jelly. We both sat down on milk crates in the back room, next to the mop sink and a stack of empty tortilla boxes. Neither of us touched our food. I wasn't hungry anymore. After a long silence, I asked, "Do you think the kid is part of it?" Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. "They're all part of it. The poncho guy, the chain thing, the woman with the lipstick, offerings, rituals. I think we're working inside a mouth, Morgan." He didn't say it like a metaphor, he meant it. "A mouth?" I echoed. "Yeah, a giant sleeping one, buried under the foundation or threaded through the walls, and we're just here to keep it fed." I didn't laugh. I didn't even roll my eyes, because after 3 nights of this, that theory didn't sound all that ridiculous. "What happens if it gets hungry?" I asked. Tyler looked up at the ceiling. "I don't know," he said, "but I don't want to find out." I almost called in on Thursday. I stared at my phone for 15 minutes, thumb hovering over the number. I even typed out the message, "Hey, feeling sick, can't come in tonight." But I didn't send it, not because I was brave, because I needed the paycheck. I was already behind on rent, and the last thing I needed was Rawl docking my hours, or worse, handing my spot to someone else. I didn't know what happened to people who left this job suddenly, but something in my gut told me it wasn't good. So I went in, told myself maybe it would be a quiet night, maybe Thursday wasn't on the calendar of whatever creature we were feeding. It wasn't quiet. The first weird thing happened around 10:15. Tyler and I were cleaning under the fryer station, pulling out old paper napkins and melted cheese clumps that had fossilized against the tile. I heard a soft thud, like something shifting above us. I looked up. "Don't," Tyler said immediately, but I was already dragging over a stool. I climbed up and lifted one of the ceiling tiles, just enough to peek inside. There was a journal sitting on top of the metal duct. Old, grease-stained, edges curled from heat and age. The cover was black but worn down to gray in places, and the binding was held together with what looked like dental floss. I pulled it down and handed it to Tyler. He opened it and flipped through the pages, eyes scanning the frantic handwriting. "It's a log," he muttered. "Shift notes, old ones." "How old?" He pointed to the top corner of the first page. March 3rd, 1998. We sat in the back room and read through as much as we could. The writing was rushed and slanted, like someone had been scribbling between orders. Pages were dotted with grease smudges and what might have been blood. A few entries were crossed out violently, others ended mid-sentence. But the message was clear. We made a deal. The bell would stay open, the meat would stay cheap, and the customers would keep coming. In exchange, it eats. Always something small. Fear, a twist, a lie, but it's getting hungrier. Another note. 3 gone in 2002, they broke Rule 5. She smiled before she bit down, only found shoes. And another. Do not open the freezer if it knocks back. The further we got, the worse it got. Whole shifts missing. Entry logs with no clock-out times. Names listed once and never again. Recipes scratched out and replaced with odd diagrams. A page where someone had drawn a mouth, dozens of teeth, no lips, no face. Just the mouth, open. Tyler shut the book and set it down on the counter between us. "So that's what we are," I said quietly. "Not employees, not even people. We're just meat that knows how to follow directions." He didn't argue. At 3:04 a.m., the bell above the front door jingled. We both froze. A woman walked in, mid-30s, maybe older. She had one broken high heel and a run in her tights. Her lipstick was smeared across her cheek like she'd wiped away a tear. She didn't look at us, just stepped carefully to the counter and said, "2 Nacho Bel Grandes." Tyler didn't move. His shoulders were stiff, and he slowly backed away like the air around her hurt to breathe. I remembered the rule. Rule 5. If a woman with a broken high heel asks for 2 Nacho Bel Grandes, place one on the counter and the other under the soda machine. Do not speak while she eats. If she stops chewing, do not move. I did exactly that. Box 1 on the counter. Box 2 slid carefully onto the floor beside the soda machine. She walked over, picked up the first one, and started eating. Messy, fast, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her lipstick smeared more with each bite, revealing jagged, uneven teeth beneath. Not rotten, not human. Her jaw moved like it was on a hinge that didn't belong in a human skull. Her throat didn't move, but the food vanished. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. She finished the first, then walked to the soda machine and crouched. She didn't sit. She folded. Bent like her spine had too many joints. She ate the second Nacho Bel Grande off the floor without using her hands. Then she stood. She looked at me and smiled. The smear of lipstick and food made it worse. Then she left. I ran to the freezer and locked myself inside for 10 minutes. It was the only place that felt safe. Cold, quiet, filled with the kind of noise that drowned out whatever was scraping against my sanity. I sat on a milk crate and cried. Not because I was weak, because I knew there were still 3 rules left, and I wasn't even halfway through the week. Friday felt heavier before I even walked through the doors. You know how some places just feel wrong the second you step inside? Like the air is too thick, and every corner looks like it's hiding something? That was the vibe before I even clocked in. The whole store smelled off. Same fryer grease and mop water, sure, but something else had settled in beneath it. Something sour and stale, like wet drywall and hot metal. Tyler didn't say a word when I walked in. He just nodded once and went back to scrubbing the prep counter with the kind of focus you only get from panic or caffeine abuse. I didn't ask questions. We both knew by now that speaking too soon could wake something up. I changed into my uniform, shoved the rules back into my pocket out of habit, and told myself maybe the worst had already passed. I was wrong. It happened earlier than I expected. Around 10:30. I was working solo in the kitchen while Tyler dealt with a messed up delivery order. We'd had a short rush of normal customers, 3 guys in construction gear who just wanted tacos and a Mountain Dew. And after they left, I took the chance to clean the fryer baskets while everything cooled. That was my mistake. They weren't empty yet, just almost. The oil had stopped bubbling, and the heat lamps were off, but I could still see the faint shimmer of liquid moving in the trays as I pulled the baskets out and set them on the rack. Then I looked down, and something looked back. It was fast, just a flicker. But I saw it. Not a reflection, not a shadow, a shape. Inside the fryer, it blinked. I froze, hands still gripping the metal edge of the basket. For a second, I thought I imagined it. Maybe my brain was fried. Maybe I was overtired. But no, the shimmer shifted again, and this time it moved with purpose. Something inside the fryer turned toward me. That's when I remembered the line from the list. Rule 6. Do not stare into the fryers when they're empty. If something looks back, leave. I dropped the basket, didn't lower it gently. I dropped it. It clanged against the tile and bounced toward the wall, but I didn't stop to apologize to gravity. I backed away, then turned and walked straight out of the kitchen. I didn't run, but only because my legs felt too heavy to carry me faster. I went to the mop sink in the back and just stood there, breathing through my teeth, trying not to picture what I saw. The worst part? I couldn't even describe it. No eyes, no face, just a shimmer in the oil and a shifting sense of attention. Like it noticed me, noticing it. Like it was sizing me up. Like it was checking its plate before dinner. I told Tyler later when we were sitting out back on a crate during our 5-minute break. It blinked at me. He didn't flinch. He just took a long sip of his soda and said, "It likes to check its meal before eating." He said it casually. Like it was normal. Like we were the ones out of line for being surprised. Then he stood up and went back inside, leaving me in the dark, wondering how many times he'd seen that shimmer. And how many more nights we could survive while pretending this job was just a job. Saturday night was different. Not louder, not busier, just wrong. I felt it the second I pulled into the lot. The streetlights were flickering, but not from left to right like in Rule 4. They just buzzed and dimmed randomly, like they were arguing with themselves. The air was warmer than usual too, sticky and heavy like the inside of a mouth. I know how that sounds. But after 5 nights of surviving the rules, I wasn't exactly looking for logical explanations anymore. Tyler was already inside, standing at the counter, staring at the soda machine like it was whispering to him. When I came in, he didn't turn around. We stayed busy cleaning, avoiding eye contact with the fryers, and not mentioning anything about the woman from Thursday. I almost asked if he'd read more of the journal, but I didn't want to know the answer. Around 1:45 a.m., the front door opened. No bell chime this time, just a soft click and the low groan of hinges that sounded older than the building. A man stepped inside, moving slow and steady. He wore a wide straw hat that covered most of his face. His boots were dusty. His shirt looked like it hadn't been washed in a decade, faded denim stained with something the color of dried cherries. But it was the way he carried himself that made my stomach twist. He didn't look around. He didn't hesitate. He walked straight up to the counter, like he'd been here 100 times before. He placed both hands on the surface. They were long and thin, like branches stripped of bark. Then he said, in a dry, creaky voice, "Chalice Combo." I didn't even blink. I turned, walked to the shelf above the soda machine, and grabbed the red cup. Not the ones we usually use, the red one from the very top shelf. It was warm, too warm, no lid, no straw. I filled it halfway with Pepsi. Not too full. I didn't know why, but it felt important. Then I turned around and placed the cup gently on the counter in front of him. He didn't say thank you. He lifted the cup, tilted his head back, and started to drink, and drink, and drink. The Pepsi level didn't drop. His throat bobbed with each swallow, pulsing like a frog's, rhythmic and steady, up and down, up and down. I didn't move. I didn't speak. My hand stayed resting on the edge of the register like I needed it to anchor me to the floor. Then his throat stopped. Just stopped moving. No more pulsing. That was the signal. Rule 7. If a man in a straw hat orders the Chalice Combo, give him a medium Pepsi in the red cup from the top shelf. No lid. No straw. Watch his throat. If it stops moving, cut the lights until he's gone. I turned and ran to the breaker panel near the back hallway. Hit the master switch. The lights snapped off. The store fell into darkness. broken only by the faint green glow of the exit signs and the low hum of the refrigerators. I waited. 10 seconds. 20. I didn't hear him leave. Didn't hear anything at all, just the sound of my own breath and the soft, syrupy scent of flat Pepsi hanging in the air like perfume. Then I flipped the breaker. The lights came back on. The man was gone. But his straw hat sat neatly on the counter, resting exactly where the cup had been. Tyler found me in the bathroom 10 minutes later, washing my hands like I was trying to scrub the memory off my skin. "You did good," he said. "Most people panic the first time." I didn't ask what happened to most people. I didn't want to know, but I did ask something else. "What's the chalice?" Tyler hesitated, then looked toward the shelf with the red cups. "It's not a drink," he said quietly. "It's a symbol, some kind of vessel. That's what he wants, something to carry it, something to fill." He didn't say what it was. He didn't have to, because I was starting to feel it too. That slow, hungry tension building behind the walls. The pressure in the air. The way every shift felt like we were walking deeper into something ancient and alive. We weren't working for Taco Bell anymore. We were working inside something else. Sunday was the worst. It felt like being told the fire alarm wouldn't work tonight, like we'd been following a map and suddenly the path just stopped. No X, no directions, just empty white space and the sound of something breathing just off the edge of the paper. I got to the store early again, but Raul wasn't there. That was weird. Raul was always there. Even if he didn't say anything, even if he just sat in the office tapping his coffee cup like he was daring it to spill, he was there. But on Sunday, the back office was dark and the chair was empty. His coffee cup sat on the floor, shattered into 6 sharp pieces. The contents still in a puddle, like it had been knocked from his hand only seconds ago. Tyler found it first. He didn't say anything, just stared at the mess, then at the floor, then back to me. "We are not supposed to be here tonight," he said. That sentence made the walls feel closer. We tried to keep the routine going. Restock. Clean. Don't talk too much. Don't look too long at the fryer oil. Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. But the building wasn't playing along. The lights started flickering around 1 a.m. Not random. They flickered left to right across the lobby, like a wave moving through the ceiling. Then they paused, then they did it again, right to left. Tyler stopped stacking napkins. I pulled the rules from my pocket even though I already knew what I was looking for. Rule number 4, drop 3 Diablo sauce packets in the mop sink and say, "The offering is yours." We both moved at once. Tyler grabbed the sauce. I ran to the back. We dropped the packets one by one into the metal basin, each one splitting with a wet splat. Then we said it together. "The offering is yours." The lights flickered again. Left to right to left, faster. The floor tiles started to creak. Something shifted beneath us, under the building. Not rats, not pipes. Something huge, like the concrete slab foundation was bending under weight that shouldn't be there. I looked at Tyler. He was backing toward the rear exit, mouth open but saying nothing. Then the freezer door burst open and something stepped out. It was wearing Raul's uniform, his black manager polo, his name tag, even his shoes. But it wasn't Raul. Its arms were too long, bent in 2 extra places, the joints jutting out at the wrong angles like broken coat hangers. Its skin didn't look like skin anymore, just pale, loose folds that twitched when it moved. Its spine arched backward as it crawled out of the freezer on all 4s, scraping the tile with sharp yellowed nails. Its head hung low, chin dragging the ground, mouth open and hissing like a steam vent. And it was looking at Tyler. "Run," I whispered. He didn't move. "Tyler, run." I turned and bolted out the back door, slamming it open so hard the hinges cried out. I hit the asphalt hard. I stumbled back to my feet and didn't stop running until I was clear of the building's shadow. Behind me, I heard a thud, then a scream. Not one of pain, one of realization, like someone who just figured out they weren't going to make it. Then the building groaned. I don't mean the pipes or the walls, I mean the whole thing. The restaurant exhaled a long, low sound that shook the glass windows and rattled the trash bins out back. I didn't go back inside. I sat on the curb and waited for sunrise, knees pulled up to my chest, rules clenched in my fist like they might still save me. The sun came up eventually. The shadows shortened, and the screaming stopped. Corporate called around noon. Asked why no one had clocked out Sunday. Said they saw Raul had missed his check-in and wanted to confirm he wasn't still on site. I told them Tyler quit. I didn't say he never left the building. I didn't say I heard him screaming. They didn't ask. I still work here. Because I owe money. Because no one else is hiring. Because there's a new kid starting next week, and someone has to hand her the rules. And I am the only one left to do that. I am not letting another person die because of the rules.